swing trading. What I'm going to do in this particular program is actually teach you a different style than I've really ever taught before. And the way I'm going to approach it in this particular program is from a perspective of huge, longer term, bigger core swing trades that you are not stressing out about as much. You're tiptoeing in and you are learning the game and the system of actually making money. What I've noticed is that a lot of traders, when they start their trading journey, they focus on one outcome. I want to make money. And while that's a very cool outcome, you're battling people like myself and thousands of other traders who've been doing this for more than a decade. So when you are interacting with those traders, they're going to have extremely strong disciplines. They're going to have larger accounts, most likely, because the market can be very rewarding at times. And what I want to do is just kind of walk you through really easy systems. And the easiest system that I've ever used is 3 main time frames, 2 main moving averages, compiling a list of really big name companies, and using small size for my first 1 to 3 years. That is exactly what I would suggest that you should highly consider doing and interacting with. So that way you begin to learn the buttons. You learn what limit orders are. You learn what stop losses are. You learn good till cancel extended hours. You just really learn and feel and get comfortable with the movements of the market. So let me give you an example. Here in front of me is Tesla. And the 3 time frames that we're going to master today in this class are the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. Those are the 3 time frames. Now, cool news, how much money does it cost to go from one time frame to another to kind of analyze? Oh yeah, nothing. That's right. Doesn't cost anything. Cost absolutely $0. Wonderful. So now that you know that you can look at the analysis, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 moving averages that I use on those 3 time frames for my bigger, chunkier swing trades that just really print cash over the longer time frame. And that is the 100 and 200 simple moving average. You can go into indicators and just type in moving average in TradingView. And once you type that in, you're going to have 2 moving average simple. Click on that twice. And you can come up over here and you can open these bad boys. Delete. Once you open these bad boys, it usually will pre-fill with SMA 9. Come in here to settings, change this input to 100. Remember, this is a free video, so if I'm going too fast, just pause. Click on style, click on this, and make a little bit of a thicker blue line, click OK. Then the second moving average, same thing, go into settings, inputs, and then go into the 200, make this red. Now, what we're doing here, again, is we're really going to be doing 2 main things. First and foremost, I want you all to only interact with companies that you know, like, use, and understand. You interact with their products, you know who they are, you like the company, you are familiar with the company, keeping in mind there are literally and actually thousands of other swing trade strategies that you can implement. What I'll be teaching you is essentially pyramiding into a position, buying low, selling high, being patient, giving your positions some time to really cook, marinate, and build. And then as you're in those positions, you own, and then you eventually sell. The reason I'm teaching you this strategy for right now is because you might not be extremely profitable in your trading. I want you to make money first. Once you can make some money, then you can overcomplicate the process if you want and add all these other cool things. But what I want to do is I want to get you in the market. I want to keep you safe. I want to keep you protected. I want to keep your capital around. I want you to realize that it's going to take some time. But simplicity scales, complexity fails. And I don't want anyone here to fail. I want you to make money in the markets. What's a big, humongous company? You know what? Go to finviz.com. This is free. And I'm just going to give you the screener right now. Click on screener. Would it be valuable if I just give you the list? Awesome. Click on screener, go into market cap and choose mega. 200 billion or more. And you're going to get 47 companies. Use these. Use these companies. That's what I would love to do. If you want a dividend, right? Fine. Do a dividend. So largest companies in the world that pay a dividend. Awesome. So now we're down to 40. So let's just pick, I don't know, Salesforce. Random. I mean, there's 40 to choose from. Build this watch list of 40 and actually scroll through here and see what you... I crushed a trade on Johnson & Johnson recently, and I'll show you about that one in just a second. All right, so we're going to go to Salesforce first. So we have Salesforce. All right. Now, as a reminder, what are the 3 time frames that we're using? Daily, weekly, and monthly. All right. Let's start with the monthly. The monthly is just that big, what the heck is this stock doing on a larger time frame? Now, I know that you can see this, but look how beautiful of a buying spot Salesforce was down here. Now, the cool news with this particular strategy that I'm teaching you, again, as a potential beginner swing trader that hasn't really crushed the markets yet and made a bunch of money, is smaller size, bigger, chunkier, longer term positions where you're buying and you're okay to hold for a while until you can just get the system, until you can really understand not only the ebbs and the flows of the market, but how to buy, how to sell, where to sell, brokers, charting softwares, all the fun things. Salesforce, monthly chart, no brainer down there. Absolutely. Now let's go into a weekly chart. Now, what you're going to be doing in this strategy is you're not going to be shorting, at least not yet. Shorting is how you make money on the downside. That can absolutely come later, but what I'm doing right now is I'm teaching you to analyze and look at multiple time frames and find out where you should be buying these humongous companies with decent sized money, but nothing too aggressive, money that you can afford to lose, but you won't, because none of these companies are going to go to zero in your lifetime, and just be really cautious and comfortable. Okay. So Salesforce, notice how Salesforce came in contact with the 100 and 200 simple moving average on the weekly chart. Now, what I'm talking about and what I'm proposing, depending on where you are financially, is getting in somewhere between 10 and 50 shares at a time. And what I want you to be doing is I want you to be buying these humongous companies at these different price points on the daily, weekly, monthly charts, and using these long-term moving averages as support and resistance. If the stock is above the moving average, it's a support. If the stock is below the moving average, it's a resistance. And all that means is if it's below the moving average and you bought it at one of these prices, then as it's trading up into another price on a different time frame, you can sell there for a profit. Let me show you what I mean. What I'm going to do is just simply really quickly go back in time, and I'm going to go back in time to where Salesforce came in contact with the weekly long-term moving averages. I'm going to do this on the daily chart. So here's the daily chart, and what you're going to see is Salesforce has this big move, boom, super scary, massive gap down. Now, what do most traders do on a day like this? They freak out, they panic, right? They're terrified, petrified, mortified. Well, remember, I'm asking you to look at and consider buying somewhere between 10 and 50 shares. I'm not asking you to take all of your account and put it into one stock. It's too scary to do that for the majority of traders out there. What I want you to do is I want you to protect your capital. I want you to buy great names at great prices on huge companies that you know, like, use, understand, and interact with, and do so on a good cost basis. So I'm going to show you how buying 20 shares of this stock would have changed your life. So again, to reiterate, why are we buying Salesforce at 218? Do you remember the fact that the long-term moving averages on a weekly chart are down here? Remember that? You do? Okay, sweet. So we're buying down here. Now what are we doing? And the answer? Nothing else. You're not doing anything else. You're not buying enough size where it's going to cripple you financially if one of these companies goes to zero, number one. Number two, you're also not going to be buying enough size that your heart should really like flutter and freak out. You're buying somewhere between 10 and 50 shares. Okay, that's it. 10 to 50 shares, which means you're going to hold through drawdowns. You're going to have some red periods, but these numbers are going to be relatively small. They're going to be relatively inconsequential. They are building up your base. You might not know this about me, but I am an endurance athlete at this point in my life. And so I can go and do pretty much any activity for a very uncomfortably long period of time, which means if me and you went out for a run together, you would die and I would keep going. The reason I'm bringing that up, imagine that you try to do exactly what I'm doing right now, instantly, immediately. You're not going to be able to contain the weight. You're not going to be able to contain the magnitude. You need to build up to this level that your mind wants you to be at. It always will take longer than you want it to, forever and ever and ever. That's just human nature. The human nature is we want everything to happen tomorrow immediately. I want a six pack. Cool. Who doesn't? When do I want it? Tomorrow. Do I want to eat all the cookies, all the brownies, all the milkshakes and still have a six pack? Yes, tomorrow. The point is, if you're buying small enough positions, these number fluctuations aren't going to scare you infinitely. And it also is enough money that all of you have access to that money. Most of you might not have access right now to buying 300, 400, 500 shares of Salesforce and putting in 80, 90 grand into a particular position without your heart exploding from your chest. But can you buy $2,000 worth of one of the largest companies on God's green earth? I hope so, dude. Like, what are you doing? If you can't buy, you can't buy $2,000 worth of Salesforce. We got to talk about your money game, right? You got to read some books about money. You got to start budgeting. You got to start practicing. I mean, I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just saying, can you buy $2,000 worth of one of the largest companies in the world? Here's 20 shares. 20 shares is $4,500. So I buy 20 shares. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go forward from that day. You bought this last day of May. We're in the last day of July, which is 2 months later. I'm going to show you what this number does in 2 months. You ready? I'm going to press play. I'm going to go a little bit slower. But while I'm pressing play, I want you to realize that this is 2 months of time. You had a $4,000 investment and you did nothing other than buy the stock and you have left it alone. You have not done anything else. And this is where you are presently. 2 months later, you made an $832 profit, which on $4,000 is around 20-ish%. Now, again, I know that's not potentially life-changing money, but maybe it is. Maybe you actually win on a trade. What are you doing this entire 2 months where your $4,000 is tied up into Salesforce? The answer? Maybe nothing. Maybe you're working out. Maybe you're reading a bunch of books like Money Grows on Trees or Master Yourself, Master the Markets, right? Maybe you're getting some knowledge. You're throwing into yourself. You're really pouring into that brain. This is one of your biggest assets, if not your biggest asset as a human, is your brain, right? Health is your biggest wealth. Study, spend time, spend energy. $832 is a really, really good return on a $4,000 investment. And it's on Salesforce, one of the largest companies on the planet. If you know anything about Salesforce, you know this company's going to be around in 5 years. So the risk of you buying something, if you're buying it low, the risk of it going to zero should be pretty much non-existent. And you shouldn't be sweating and stressing about your position. But what it does, what do you think this does? Let's go back to my running example. Instead of you running 225 miles with me over the course of 4 days, me and you are going on a 2 to 3 mile run, walk, jog. And we're doing 2 of those every week for 2 months. What is that going to do? If you're looking to lose weight, are you going to lose weight running, walking, jogging 2 to 3 miles a day, 2 to 3 times a week? The answer? Yeah, you will. You will lose a little bit of weight. It's going to happen because you're spending more calories than you're intaking. It's a journey, you legend, you beautiful human. It's a journey. It takes time. It really, really does. Time is your greatest asset. And ultimately, as you're building up the knowledge, you're also building up the confidence. You see, a lot of people, they don't have the confidence to get into trades because they've never seen them work. They've never actually seen an $832 profit because they're sitting there trading every single day, learning 453 different systems a week, going all over YouTube, not subscribing to Real Life Trading. Why would you do that? I don't know why would you do that. It's literally free. Subscribe to Real Life Trading if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not already subscribed. What you're doing is you're trying to learn too many things and you're not focusing. You already know how to make money. Buy something at 10, sell it at 30. That's swing trading. Let me show you one of my examples that I just talked about earlier on Johnson & Johnson. This was a absolutely, and I had to take a shower. This was filthy. I had to get the medevac team up in here. Like, it was gross. All right, 3 different time frames. Do you remember the time frames? Daily, weekly, monthly. Start with the monthly. Now, what did I notice on Johnson & Johnson as soon as I went to the monthly chart? Just this absolute wrecking of a pattern right here. I mean, we are at the 100 on the monthly for 4 months. April, we're there. May, we're there. June, it's Johnson & Johnson. If you haven't heard of Johnson & Johnson, where literally have you been living? You're not even living under a rock. They own rocks also. Like, where have you been living if you haven't heard of Johnson & Johnson? Is this company going to be around in 10 years? Yes. If you're saying no, you're a conspiracy theorist, and it's okay. But I'm just letting you know they'll be here in 10 years. If you don't believe me, email me in 10 years. And when Johnson & Johnson's here, you can mail me $100. Okay? On the monthly chart, what am I beginning to do? I'm beginning to purchase some shares. I'm beginning to build a position. I am wanting you to start training your mind, body, soul, spirit, but most importantly, that bank account. I want you to train that bank account that when a position, a good asset is nice and low, what are you doing? You're beginning to buy into that asset. You're beginning to own shares of this asset. Does this take time? Yes. Does it take money? Absolutely. Everything takes time or money. So that being stated, I'm going to back up a little bit, and I'm going to kind of show you my process on Johnson & Johnson. Here's the monthly chart. Now we're going to go over to the weekly. Okay. Are we above or below the weekly moving averages? And you can see we're below it. So this ultimately for me is going to end up being a target. This is going to be a level that I want to trade to. Like I said about 10 minutes ago, if you're below some of these moving averages, some of the moving averages above you can become a target. And if you are at or on top of the moving averages, they will become a support. Just like here. I mean, look how nicely Johnson & Johnson interacted with and bounced off the 200 on the weekly back in 2023, and you would have made a good profit. Did I win on that trade? Yeah. Yeah, of course I did, because I implemented this strategy. All right. Weekly moving averages, J&J, awesome. Now I'm going to go into a daily chart. What you're going to notice on the daily, we're also really far below the moving averages. So again, can the daily and weekly moving averages become the level at which you sell your position? I'm going to draw a line there. I'm going to draw a line there. And the answer is yes, these can become levels. So let me show you how I started getting into Johnson & Johnson. By the way, Johnson & Johnson pays a dividend. Everything on the stock pays a dividend. So even though you're only buying a few shares, and you're certainly not robbing the bank and you're certainly not stealing from anybody, you are still buying a company with your money that pays a dividend, which essentially is free money. And as you're buying that stock and you're getting your dividends, you're buying an asset. And what that does is it's training your brain to buy assets when stocks are low, because that's what wealthy people do. If you ever are dreaming of doing $20,000 a month, semi-passively, which is $250,000 a year so that you can live your dream life, you have to have some level of asset. And my friends, I can tell you right now, there is a tipping point. And that tipping point with your portfolio and with your money is probably around 8 years. I don't know if you're willing to wait 8 years. You're not paying me for me to tell you this, but I'm just letting you know, class is free. It might take 8 years from where you are now to where you want to be. If you want more speed, if you want it to be less time, the only way you can buy time is with what? Money. So if you want to shorten that learning experience, you have to figure out ways to spend money to shorten that learning experience. Otherwise, it's going to take about 8 to 10 years to have a really, really cool tipping point where you're building up your portfolio enough where it goes from $100,000 to $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. And when it's around $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 after doing this exact strategy for 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years, that tipping point is when you're making 20 to 30% a year doing this exact strategy, and or now you're implementing a little bit of a different strategy because you spent 7, 8 years reading my books, going through all of our programs, going through all of our classes, going through some of our coaching programs, really immersing yourself in learning. Now you have a tipping point where you know a lot of different strategies and you're making 20 to 30% a year on 800 grand. What's 30% a year on 800,000? $250,000. It's $250,000. And that's when the game becomes fun. That's when things really, really start to happen. I've been trading for 15 and some change years. The first 4 sucked. That gave me 11 years. So I grinded for a long period of time and now I made it. Awesome. How did I make it? By doing what I'm teaching you right now. The same thing in this class. This is what I did. And I did it for a period of time until I started realizing, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I can actually research some of these companies and I can say to myself, wow, Johnson & Johnson's a literal no-brainer down here. Maybe instead of buying 10 to 50 shares, I should I don't know, buy a couple hundred. And guess how many positions are in my portfolio? You want to know? Want to know? Want to know? Meow. One. What does my position tab say? J and J. How many shares? 1,800. Now it matters. Now there's a tipping point. You see how this become very, very fun very quickly? Because ultimately what I'm training you to do is I'm training you not to be afraid. I'm training you to understand. I'm training you to not lose money, to interact with huge companies, to stop dabbling with decimals and start conversing with commas. You are bigger than $1,800 a month. You're bigger than that. You can have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month just simply knowing in order to make $30,000 a month, you know how my brain says this? That is 30 points captured in the stock market on 1,000 shares. That's how my brain equates to $30,000 a month. $30,000 a month is 1,000 shares capturing 30 points, or 100 shares capturing 300 points. That's 30 grand. And I know if you're watching this video, and hit me up if I'm wrong, $30,000 a month will change your life. Give me $30,000. Like, that's amazing. I'll donate all of it. It's an incredible amount of money. Johnson & Johnson. I get fired up when I'm talking about money. All right. Guess what I'm going to do? Well, we know we're at the monthly chart. So I'm going to put this as a big old. All right. So we know we're at the 100 SMA on monthly. How much did it cost to learn that, by the way? Oh, yeah, $0. Okay, cool. So guess what your boy does? You ready? 5 shares. Boom, bought it. 5 shares, Newsom? Really? You're doing $250,000 with 5 shares? Just wait. Because what I'm doing is I'm scaling in. I'm testing the waters, right? Warren Buffett told me in the books that I read that cost $6, don't test the depth of a pool with both feet, right? Big toe, pyramid in, buy some, position, wait, let your nervous system calm down. And during the course of a month, guess who's reading articles on Yahoo Finance? Guess who's listening to earnings calls? Guess who's going and reading the P&Ls and the balance sheets and realizing that Johnson & Johnson has 0 debt? None. No debt. They're just cash flow positive. So can I buy more, do you think? Oh my gosh, it's already up 6%. That's crazy. Wow. I bought the low? I actually did. This is a real trade that I did. Amazing gap. This candle says, oh, dude, things are serious down here. Look at this is a bullish gap and go off the 100 on the monthly. I'm up $32, $33 on 5 shares. Now, is that changing someone's life? I don't know. Maybe for you it is. But what is that doing? It's instilling confidence. It's telling you, wait a minute. I'm up $33 in a day. How much did you have to work for that? This is swing trading. You've purchased a position. You own an asset. Okay. Down day. What's your boy do? 5. I know this gap's going to fill. 5. So now I'm in 15 shares. When this gap fills, I'm going to buy 100. Okay. 5. I'm in 25 shares. These are all down days. 5, 30 shares. How much is this costing, by the way? $0 in commissions. A little bit of a pop right there. So I'm waiting up $51. No big deal. Oh, good push. Come on. Up 100 on 35 shares. Who can't do this? You can do this. You're smart. You're powerful. You're intelligent. You're wise. You're competent. Let's go. Nice little push, little push, little push. Coming into those long-term moving averages. Here comes the dividends. Oh my goodness. Stock comes down because they pay out so much money in dividends, the stock dropped. But you capture the dividends, you're still up $101 on 35 shares. Where are we? Look how close you are to these long-term moving averages. Flatten, sell my 35 shares, got the dividend, got $100 of profit, put it in my pocket. And guess what I'm going to do with that $100? Start buying some shares, reinvesting it into Johnson & Johnson. This is actually how I played this. Down day, doing it again. 5 shares, 5 shares, 5 shares. And how much am I going to buy at the 100? 100 shares. Oh, there it is. So now I go, all right, sweet. Now we're getting into 100. Buy. Now we're down $60. We're down $60. What's this doing? This is training your body and your nervous system not to be terrified, petrified, mortified. Look at the volume that's coming in. Again, huge volume spike, which tells me what? People are doing things down here. People care about Johnson & Johnson. Another down day, but guess what? My nervous system is reset. I've already been in Johnson & Johnson. I've already experienced a little bit of profit with it. Am I as afraid? No. I've been trading and researching and studying Johnson & Johnson for how long? A month. I've been noticing the patterns. I've been noticing the volume. I've been seeing it. Buying another 100. This is only $14,000. You got $14,000 in your account. You're just scared to use it, right? You got 14. I'm below pattern day trading rule, Jeremy. I haven't made any money day trading. Then stop day trading and swing trade. Like, what? Why are you throwing away money trying to day trade when all you have to do is buy great assets at low prices, hold on to them for long enough, and sell them higher? What are you doing? We have this amount of money. You're good. You can do this. So I'm in 210 shares. Now that P&L is going to start getting a little cookie, right? Because now every dollar it moves, you're going to go down $200. You're going to go up $200. Down day, 100 shares. I'm in 300 now, 310. Look how we're just hanging at this 100. We're hanging. Oh, come on with that push. Look at that bull count. Look at this, $731 of profit. Oh, yeah. Now, when this type of volume comes in for the third time, what do? 1,500. It was actually 1,490. Right? To get up to how many shares I say earlier? Remember when I said 1,800 shares? Come on. And holding through that position, you never buy the exact bottom, never sell the exact top. It had its beautiful little spike. 20K in profits on Johnson & Johnson. Now you're going to say, well, Newsom, you bought 1,800 shares of Johnson & Johnson. I can't do that. Yeah, I've already told you that. I told that 5 minutes ago. I don't want you to do it. Not yet. Practice. Give yourself the ability. Teach yourself. Can you spend time for 8 years working on becoming the absolute best, richest, most wealthy version of yourself? Can you pour into yourself, please? Because you have the ability to grow at such amazing capacities once you know what to do and how to do it. For those of you that can afford 1,800 shares, which ain't that much, it's $250,000. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's not. You have a house that's worth $250,000. You own something worth $250,000. You can do it. It's not an outrageous amount of money, especially with margin. If you already have this type of money, oh my gosh, I have a program that I would love for you to take. If you have $100,000, $200,000 liquid at your disposal, pop over to reallifetrading.com, go through my early retirement program so I can teach you how to optimize this and make 1% to 3% a month. Yeah, seriously, 1% to 3% a month. I mean, with your eyes closed. It's super easy, super simple. So I would love for you to go through that course. It will and really will impact your life and change your life. But if you're at the part in your life right now where you're just not quite there, you don't have the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to really trade with. Me neither. Dude, I lost so much money. I was in absolute poverty for like 4 or 5 years. I was eating PB&J's, dog. It's okay. Wherever you are in your life, you can rebuild, but you got to rebuild your mind before you rebuild anything else. I was reading a book a week. I was an animal. I was a savage. I just outworked everybody in the room because I needed it that bad. I needed success. It wasn't a question. It was a need. It wasn't a hope. It wasn't a dream. It was an absolute standard that I pulled into my life with the very fiber of my being. And that's what I want you to do. This is absolutely capable for you. I promise. It's going to take time. Everything takes time. It's going to be a building journey. It's going to be a beautiful process where over time, it starts to expand. And 10 shares becomes 40. 40 becomes 90. 90 will become 150. Then you're doing some covered calls and some options. Then 150 turns into 300. Then 300. It builds and builds and builds. And ultimately, you can start getting there where you can actually literally create cash like this. Even though the trade took 2 months and I made $20,000, I had a couple of other trades that were still progressing simultaneously. That's incredible, right? Because Now I'm trading with a couple million. So when 500,000 turns into a million, and then a million turns into two, and two turns into four, and four turns into eight, granted, that might be a while, but it's available to you because the market doesn't care. The vastness and the size and the abundance of the market is all there. You have to start getting and ingraining into your body, into your being, into your vibration, this. Knowing it, seeing it, feeling it, and understanding it. And depending on where you are in life and depending on where you want to be, this process, this system will, can, should, and better help you to expand everything about who you are. And if at any point in time in your life you feel like you would love expansion, speed, certainty, or clarity, please reach out to my team at Real Life Trading. They're the best human beings on the planet Earth. They're the incredible traders. They love ferociously. They want to help you become the best version of yourself. That's why I created this company. That's why I'm very happy that you're here. Thank you so much for being a part of this wonderful community. I would love to continue interacting with you. Make sure you hop into our live trading program. Swing trade with us, day trade with us, learn with us, optimize your time, optimize your speed, optimize your money. Become the best version of you, which is a richer, smarter, more powerful, more confident, leaner and meaner, snapping necks, cashing checks. That's the version of you that I want to spend time with, because then you can donate, then you can give, then you can buy, then you can really live in zest, power, and zeal. You ready? I'm ready. Let's go.